So, James, a federal district court judge in Kentucky has upheld the Federal Reserve Board's debit card interchange cap, following a completely different ruling last month by a federal district court judge in North Dakota.
Fun.
This is one of those ones that's going to probably go all the way to the Supreme Court if it,
Right.
if the appeals go different as different as the district court judges do.
Hmm.
Um, Last month, you'll recall, because I reported here about how a district court judge in North Dakota said the Fed misread the instructions that were contained in the law.
Right.
This latest ruling, which was brought, you'll love this, it was brought by a pizza parlor in Frankfort, Kentucky, and I
Love
know
it.
how much you love pizza
I
places.
do.
So,
I do.
the federal district court judge said the Fed had justified its actions. He ruled that the pizza place failed to recognize that the Fed must balance competing interests in establishing the caps,
Right. Right.
which is much more,
Mm. So,
logical.
so just zooming out for a second, right? So for our audience to understand, so the Durbin Amendment, was part of the
Right,
Dodd-Frank Financial Reform Act over a decade ago, and there were these caps that were put in place to say for debit card interchange, you can't charge more than 22 cents and 5 basis points. And
right.
there's been a lot of, debate around, well, did they set that too high or did they set that correctly?
Versus thinking they set it too high. I mean, the bank's thinking they set it too high, and no, wait, let me
Or too low. Yeah, the banks
too
are thinking they
low.
set it too
Right,
low.
right,
The
right.
businesses think they set it too high.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you.
Yes.
Got a little getting a little confused because this is so, it's been going on for
It's been going
years,
on
James.
literally
I
for a
mean,
decade. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, and
Yeah, and I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a really,
it
really
is a
big
big
deal.
deal.
It
Oh
impacts
yeah,
our industry. I mean, I remember vividly when it first went into effect. And so the company I was with at the time, which will remain nameless, they decided that they would. So back then, everybody sold tiered pricing, right? So,
right, right,
so
right,
I told everybody on these like tiered rates, pretty high tiered rates, right? Because that's, the interchange cost. Well, when the Durbin Amendment went into effect, the cost of processing debit cards overall dropped by about 40% overnight.
right,
Well, the
right.
company I was with, they decided to wait about 3 months before they updated their tiered pricing to reflect this
Ooh,
change. So
ooh,
my residuals went up. My residuals like doubled, for like three
right,
months. So,
right.
but the reason I'm saying
And
that
then they
is,
plummeted.
and then they, yeah. So, but the reason I'm saying that is because if they, were to mess with this again, it's very important to understand that this is a foundational constraint of our industry. Like it would
Right,
really impact Stripe and Square and Toast and these companies that do flat rate pricing, because
right,
these flat rates are all predicated on a certain cost of interchange, and the
right.
debit caps really change that. So this court battle is actually a meaningful one, but to your point, I imagine it will take quite a while for it to work itself out.
Oh, it's going to. And then, we should also note that 2 years ago, back in the fall of 2023, the Fed proposed cutting the interchange cap by another 30% to about 14.4 cents.
Right.
And that's still pending before the Fed board. But with all this other stuff going on, and the
Hmm.
fact that not all the board members agree
Right.
that it
Right.
should be this, should be that low.
Right. Right.
Uh, but
Who
that's
knows?
all in limbo. But I think that's the thing
Hmm.
that's really, important here is that this is all in limbo, and
It
it's
is.
going to
And I mean,
take a long time to figure it out.
yeah, I mean, in my 2 cents, and I've said it many times before, I wish that they would I wish they would leave the effective cost the same, but I wish that they would flip it a bit to make it, instead of 5 basis points and 22 cents, I wish they would make it like 10 cents and 15 basis points, or whatever the equivalent would need to be to overall average it. Because
Right.
the thing I hate about it, I was on a call earlier today. I'm doing a call with a very large merchant that everybody would know. It's a nationwide business, and they run
Uh-huh.
these very small transactions, like $15,
Right.
and they are disproportionately hurt by the way that it's
Right.
structured, because 22 cents on $15 is a lot.
Right.
And it takes their effective rate of interchange up quite a bit. Whereas if it was more fair, something like 10 cents and 15 basis points or whatever, if it was something like that, again, whatever that number would be to make it the same across the board, well, then it would even it out. And then the businesses with you get a business that does like a $200 average ticket. Well, when they run a regulated debit transaction, it's basically free. I mean,
Right.
who cares
Right.
about 22 cents on $200? You know what I mean?
Right.
But for somebody doing a $10
Well,
transaction, it's
ten
a big deal.
dollars. That's a big deal. In fact,
Yeah.
I as a rule, if I'm doing a $10 transaction, I won't use my debit card.
Right.
because I
You
don't want
know
to
it's
like
going to be, yeah, you know
I
it's
know
going to
it's
hurt
going
that
to
business.
screw over the merchant, you
Right.
know.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but most people don't understand that, and a lot
Right.
of debit cards are the preferred mechanism
For
these
small
days.
ticket. Well, especially for small ticket. Again, the irony
Right?
is as you go up to the larger average ticket sizes, they're going to more likely to use a credit card because they want the reward points.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. So,
yeah.
yeah. So, sticking with the litigation
Theme.
theme here, there's a proposed class action settlement has been reached in three related lawsuits involving Discover. So it's not just Visa and MasterCard that are,
Mm.
face lawsuits over pricing. Discover, apparently, these lawsuits allege that from 2007 to 2023, Discover misclassified certain consumer credit cards as commercial credit cards, which of course caused merchants and others in the processing line to, incur excessive interchange fees.
Hmm.
Discover denies the claims in the lawsuits, and the court has not decided who is right or wrong. They just want to settle the damn thing, you know. Um,
Right.
and the settlement class includes all end merchants, merchant acquirers, and payment intermediaries involved in processing or accepting these misclassified card transactions.
So I'm sorry. Did you say that they have now come to a decision?
There's a proposed settlement
There's a
that the
proposed
court,
settlement. So it hasn't been agreed to yet by both sides, but it's proposed.
but it's proposed.
Okay, got it.
And the court issued a press release on this, which is very unusual, which is where
Yeah.
I got my information from.
Okay.
But it seems like they're good. The settlement's gonna go through. It looks like because the court has to approve the settlement
Mhm.
as well as the parties.
Right, right,
So the fact that the court put out this press release seems to me to say the court approves the settlement.
right.
And if you want to know any of the details as to, if you're an acquirer or an ISO or an agent, who might have been affected by this, I did do a story in the green sheet that has the website where you
Cool.
can go to find your, whether or
Okay.
not you're part of that class. But,
Interesting.
I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
I think Discover wants to settle this now because of the whole Cap One acquisition,
Of course, they need to get it out of the way to clear the way for the acquisition. Yeah,
clear
sure.
the way for the acquisition. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So, yeah, I thought that was very interesting. So, there's a new name to watch for in the payments marketplace, and I love this name. It's called PayPay.
Okay.
It's
PayPay.
from the Japanese banking giant SoftBank,
Oh,
and they've actually submitted an application for a U.S. IPO for this payment platform.
really?
Yeah, yeah. And what makes PayPay a serious? I read about it in. It's funny. I lived with my aunt and uncle when I was in college, and my uncle was worked for IBM, and they have this magazine called Think, which apparently they still have.
Yeah.
And I happened to find an article on IBM Think that talks about this,
Hmm.
and they say they have their point man for AI payment and payments, a guy named Kamini Belday, said that what makes PayPay a serious contender, even among the likes of Apple Pay, PayPal, and Venmo, is its use of advanced AI capabilities.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. He said, quote, the platforms that master AI will reduce fraud losses, expand credit access, and deepen customer loyalty through personalization. What SoftBank is attempting with PayPay isn't just market entry, it's ecosystem disruption, he said.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
yeah, I think that's really interesting. I
Hmm.
mean, besides the name being interesting, it's sort of like,
Right, right.
right?
So I wonder
Apple
how
Pay and
they're.
PayPay.
I wonder if have they announced any. I guess we'll have to do our research here, but I wonder if they've announced any strategic partnerships with companies that are going to allow acceptance of this new type of payment. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like,
I did a cursory search and hadn't found anything yet, but I think
okay,
it's brand new. They're just coming to the
right,
U.S.
right. But at the same
Um,
time, I mean, with SoftBank behind them, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And so
exactly,
all they need to
exactly.
do is get, Fiserv and a few others to jump on board with allowing acceptance. Do some deals with Square, Stripe, etc., and they'll be off to
And
the
they'll be good
races.
to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
and and like I said, like you said, because SoftBank is behind them,
Hmm.
it's not just it's not just a flash in the pan. It's probably something to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, very interesting. Okay, well, keep us up to date on that. Any developments? I hadn't heard of that one, so now
Yeah,
I've got it. Now I'm
yeah,
going to be doing my homework too.
yeah. Both have to do some homework on
Yeah.
this. So, the Federal Reserve Bank in New York every 4 months, which is interesting. It's like it's not quite quarterly; it's a little bit more than quarterly.
Hmm.
They take a pulse of household spending,
Okay.
and they found that in August it reached its weakest pace since 2021. The year-over-year increase in monthly nominal household spending declined to 4.1% in August from 4.5% in April.
Hmm.
But here's the thing: big ticket purchases rose. The share of consumers who made any large purchase over the previous 4 months increased to 60.8% in August from 53.5% in April. That's like a
Hmm.
7 point jump. Um, and we're talking about here purchases of electronics, home appliances, furniture, home repairs, homes, vehicles, and vacations. All of those increased.
Hmm.
So if you're out there selling, to merchants with big ticket items, it's good news. If
Yeah.
you're out there selling to, bodegas and pizza parlors, it's not so great news.
Hmm.
Although I do remember the last time I was in New York, this blew my mind, and it was several years ago. I bought two pizzas and some antipasta to go in a New York pizza parlor, and it was over $100.
Wow.
It's like
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, is this pizza made? Is it on a gold platter?
Right. Right.
I mean, I know pizza's gone up, but I
Yeah.
remember the days when it was like $6.99 for a pizza.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
But I thought that was I just
That
wanted to
is.
share that with people. I
Yeah.
thought it was
Yeah.
worthwhile.
Absolutely. That is interesting. Okay.
And finally, I have this. This is just a really interesting story. The Association for Financial Professionals, which they represent like cash management people, treasury management,
Right.
the treasury shop and companies. Our new report from them suggests that businesses are beginning to wean themselves from checks.
Hmm.
B2B check usage was down 7% in the US and Canada
Wow.
this year. In 2022, 33% of B2B payments were by check. This year, it's 26%, which is
Wow. That's a big drop.
that's a big drop. That's a big
Yeah.
drop. Um, but this is the thing. This is what really strikes me. I was watching a Baltimore station the other day for news. I live in Maryland, as everybody knows, probably.
Yep.
Um, and there was a story that just caught my attention, and it was a small businessman who says that he's really suffering, not because of the economy, but because his clients pay him by checks, and the checks keep getting stolen out of his mailbox. I'm
Wow.
like, I mean, this made me like sit up, right? Like,
Right.
what? I'm like, and I'm saying to myself, why don't you take credit cards? So of course, finally, the interviewer says, why don't you take credit cards? And he says, well, I do, but my clients prefer to pay by check. So they must be part
Wow.
of that 26%.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
and
Yeah.
it's really weird because I do a lot of, I mean, not a lot, but I do business. Most of the people I do business with are small businesses. I mean,
Right.
people like you or, my web guy and
Right.
everybody, it's like, credit card,
Right.
But then I had a couple of incidences where I had to go to urgent care.
Mm-hmm.
One was an urgent care, the other was an ER visit, right? And
Yep.
I got bills for them. I went online to try to pay them. It was the biggest pain in the butt to try it. They had
Right.
it was so non-intuitive
Yeah,
that I
sure.
ended up pulling out my checkbook, which I hadn't written a check in
Right. In
like
a
God
while.
knows how long.
Right.
And I wrote them both checks. It's like the heck with you guys, man. If you can't make
Right.
it easy for me to pay
Yeah.
you online, then I'm going to pay you with check. So I
Yeah.
wonder if this guy if he had some sort of similar.
Yeah. His system is so bad that people are trying to pay him by check because he's making it so inconvenient to do otherwise.
Right, right. But
Yeah.
that just blew my mind. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out of business because my checks are getting stolen. Well, then
Right. Don't take checks
don't take
anymore.
checks.
At least move to ACH, right?
At least do
Uh,
ACH. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I mean, my my congregation, we do ACH.
Yep.
In fact,
Yep.
whenever I'm the treasurer of one of the sanghas, which is the Buddhist
Hmm.
version of a congregation,
Right.
and I'm always saying, please pay us by ACH. It's much cheaper,
Right. Right. Exactly.
and it's
Yeah.
so much easier for you than to have to look at it, have it on your credit card. Just
Right.
every
Right.
month have it taken out of your checking account.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's it for this week, James.
Awesome. Well, Patty, thank you so much as always. Great stories. Thanks for keeping us in the loop.
Hey, sure thing.